Om Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnur Gurur Devo Maheshwarah Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha वागर्धाविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्धप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ. We'll get started now. So, to my knowledge, we completed till, sorry, I don't know where my notes is. Sorry, 1 second.
That is
Nakadididi Sanchanna is, we were just going to do the meaning for that sloka. So I'm assuming we've done the sloka, the chanting of the sloka. Did we complete that?
We completed the meaning till 18, Guruji, and we wanted to start from the 19th. So.
Okay, so we'll first chant the sloka then. Nakha di dhiti. So it's important to notice that the kha is a mahaprana, the is a alpa prana. Again, the second dhi is a mahaprana. So what I generally tell people is to just do this one word individually before you combine it with the rest of the sloka. So nakha di dhiti, nakha di dhiti. So just so you don't put the mahaprana in the wrong places. So nakadi dhiti sanchanna namajjana with a double j like namajjana tamo guna padadvaya prabhajala parakrita saroruha. And we'll also look at the shloka 20 as well. Shinjana mani manjira mandita shri padambuja Marali Mandagamana Maha Lavanya Shevadhihi. So the last again is a Mahaprana. Who would like to chant the shloka 19 with me?
Guruji.
I can, Guruji.
Okay, I heard a first voice. I think it was
Sujata.
Okay, Sujata ji will go ahead. Nakadidhiti sanchanna namajjanatamo guna.
Nakadiditi sanchanna namajjanatamo guna.
Padadvaya prabhajala parakrita saroruha.
Padadvaya prabhajala parakruta saroruha.
Yeah, it'll be parakrita saroruha. The ra is a dhirgam.
Okay,
We'll do it
you.
one more time. Nakhadidhiti sanchanna namajjanatamo guna.
Nakadidhiti sanchanna namajjanatamo guna.
Padadvaya prabhajala parakrita saroruha.
Padadvaya prabhajala parakruta saroruha.
Parakrita saroruha.
Parakruta saroruha.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Who would like to do shloka 20?
I can do it, Guruji. I'll try.
Awesome. Sorry, we'll do the shloka itself, like the chanting. Shinjana mani manjira mandita shri padambuja.
Sinjana Mani Manjira Mandita Shri Padambuja
Marali mandagamana mahalavanya sevadhihi.
Marali Manda Gamana Mahalavanya Sevadihi
Sevadhihi. Yeah, there is no dirgham at the end.
Sevadihi
Awesome. Yeah, we'll do it one more time. Shinjana mani manjira mandita shri padambuja marali mandagamana mahalavanya sevadhihi.
Sinjana Mani Manjira Mandita Shri Padambuja Marali Manda Gamana Mahalavanya Sevadihi.
Awesome. Well done, Lataji.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we will look at The amazing meanings. And we were just talking about this Nakadi Dhiti Sanchanna in the Vishnu Sahasranamam class. So we've seen till the Kurma Prishta Jaishnu Prapadanvita. Does anybody remember what that nama's meaning was? Kurma Prishta Jaishnu Prapadanvita.
The turtle back, Guruji?
Yeah. So what is that being compared to?
The soul, the feet soul.
The soles of her feet.
It's like arched, like the turtle back.
The
Correct.
shells of a tortoise.
Correct. The instep of her feet are like the shells of the tortoise, like, have a nice curve. But at the same time, they were saying Jayishnu, more than that, excelling that, because it's not the hardness. It's again the mrudutvam that we were previously talking about, Mardavam, right? Lavanya and mrudutvam mixed together in her feet. So it's not the hardness of the shell that we are comparing to. We are only comparing to the arch part of the tortoise shell. And the reason why I compared it with the arch of the tortoise is because the kurma, and actually, by the way, I think I forgot to mention this. We keep Sri Chakram on what we call as the kurma pitham. So there is usually like a tortoise kind of shaped base, on the top of which we keep either the two-dimensional Sri Chakra or the three-dimensional Sri Chakra. Because the whole universe we talked about we are talking about Mahakurma, Sri Bhagavan Vishnu in his Kurma Avatara. So the universe he is the sustenance or the substratum where the universe is built. And therefore, it is getting like the feet are instep is getting compared to the kurma. So that is the deeper meaning we've looked at. Now, looking at the Nakhadi Dhiti Sanchanna Namajjana Tamoguna is a single one nama throughout the line. So Tamogunam. I'm assuming everybody knows what the three gunas are. What is sattva, rajas, and tamas? Please let me know if I can assume that, or if anybody wants me to just expand a little bit on that, I absolutely can do that. Okay.
You can expand a little.
Please
Guru. Please
Okay.
explain.
Okay, sounds good. So the whole universe formation happens when there is a balance of imbalance in the gunas, and there are three gunas essentially. So sattva, rajas, and tamas, or we can call it sattva guna, rajo guna, and tamo guna. And in Bhagavad Gita, there is a whole chapter that is just talks about these gunas and how in food you can say you can have sattvic food, and rajasic food, and tamasic food. In shraddha there is sattva, rajas, tamo, shraddha. In danam there is sattva danam, where you're just not expecting anything in return and you're just doing the danam. And in rajo danam, where you're expecting fame and name, and you want inscriptions on the temple stones that you have donated something. And tamo gunam, because you're expecting something in return a lot more than that, you're just doing it as a not just in without any expectation. So there is a whole chapter dedicated to the gunas. I was going back to and these actually define who we are. So there is a combination, like all of us will have these three gunas in us, and everything in the universe is made of these three gunas. And Bhagavan is nirgunam or gunatitam. He is beyond all of this, because for him the gunas don't exist. So that's a different part. Depending on so there are multiple variations and combinations, like tamas plus tamas makes what, tamas plus rajas makes what. And so think about somebody like rajas plus rajas is extremely aggressive. So sattva is what we call as inaction, not inaction, not or unaction, I think, not inaction. So sorry, I get confused. I know how to define that in English. Essentially, rajogunam is more of very action oriented. Tamogunam is inaction, like no action, laziness is a component of tamogunam. And sattva gunam is unaction. I think that's the translation that I have read in Swami Dayanandaji's books. In the sense of there is action
Sorry,
being
Guruji. Can you repeat that once again? Tamoguna, Sattva-guna, and Rajoguna?
Rajoguna. So Sattva-guna is the highest of the order in terms of, somebody looking for spiritual progress. There needs to be a lot more Sattva-guna than the other two gunas. So Sattva-guna imparts discipline, being organized, and spiritual progress and that sort of stuff. Rajoguna is about passion, and if there is a lot more Rajoguna, then there is aggression. And in health benefits, like when we talk about Ayurveda, I'm not definitely an Ayurvedic specialist. I just learn a little bit so I can just incorporate that into my lifestyle. So the Rajasic food, encourages that aggression and passion that's required. So in a material world, for example, we talk about Arjuna in Gita, right? So for a Kshatriya, it is very required that he be more Rajasic and not Sattvic. So there is a Rajas plus Sattva makes Kshatriya. And passionate, like what they say is like, Guna Vaishya, for example, and the way it is defined as Rajasic Guna, like, passionately just trying to do trade, along with like, Tamo Guna, because you're expecting lots of returns from your trade. That is called as a Guna Vaishya. So essentially, think about a tree. There is a sattva gunam, rajagunam, and the tamogunam in the tree as well. There is a lot of tamogunam because it cannot move. I won't define it as lazy, but movement is very limited. But with the rajogunam, it is required to create, and the tree has to grow, the tree has to create fruit. But there is also sattva aspect because the fruit that it is preparing is not for its own benefit. It's just storing food so it can provide to other people. So even in human beings, we are composed of these three gunas, and it is depending on our lifestyle, what we um, collect as intelligence through our jnanendriyas, and what are the actions we do with our karmendriyas that actually transform us from. It is possible to change one's composition, and different times there is more predominance of tamoguna when we sleep, and there is a lot more like rajasic guna when we are doing like exercise or we go to gym, and there is sattva guna when we are doing our puja. You don't want to do puja in a very rajasic way. So all three are critical components of the building blocks of who we are, and we just need to know how to use the different gunas. Very good question. I think I'm recording. Yes, recording is in progress. Thank you for reminding me. I got worried for a minute. We are recording. So it's important to understand the gunas and how they work and how we can utilize those to use it in our life to have a better lifestyle. But the whole universe is composed of these three gunas. And when there is an absolute balance of these three gunas, then the unmanifestation can happen. Does that make the point a little clearer? Is everybody comfortable? So can we move
Yes,
to
Guruji.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you, Guruji.
but you are saying something about, so when there is imbalance in the gunas, the universe is formed, right?
Correct.
So is there one guna like dominating at that time when the universe is formed?
Absolutely, there is. So Brahma, the creator, is considered the Lord for Rajoguna, because without Rajoguna, he cannot create the universe. And then Lord Vishnu, because he is sustaining and he's protecting, so he is considered the sattvic aspect, is considered as Lord Vishnu. And Rudra, because of the dissolution and the aspect of destruction that is involved in it, he is considered the Lord of in the Tamoguna. Tamoguna could also mean like ignorance, darkness, and that sort of stuff. All of these are important aspects, as we can see. Rudra plays an extremely important role in the destruction, because without destruction, there cannot be new creation. Even in our body, we don't want our old cells to just lie around and be there forever. We want them to move on and become molecules and just giving back to the universe, right? So those three aspects.
Sorry, Guruji.
Go ahead.
I have a question. So when you said that imbalance, when the imbalance of the gunas are there, like the universe is created. So what happens when everything is in balance? Sorry.
Then the unmanifestation happens.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, so what is the context of using tamoguna here?
That's where we are getting to. So tamogunam, in those people, namajjana means those people who are doing the namam, or doing, praying to or doing the namaskara to the mother. So nakadidhiti, to her nails. So the literal translation for this one would be so nails are like moon in 10 pieces. This is the other description that gets given. So as if the moon was broken into 10 different pieces, and as if it's added on mother's feet, and that's how there is so much shine. It's as if the moon is her nails. So nails are like moon in 10 pieces, and the tips are red in color. When someone bows down at mother's feet, their tamogunam, or ignorance, is dispelled. Okay, does that make sense? So by praying to the mother's feet, the tamogunam in us, whether it is in terms of ignorance, or whether it is in terms of the darkness, or whether it is in terms of laziness, then that is taken away. So I've known some people who struggle with, I don't have enough shraddha to do puja, or I don't get I feel lazy to do it, I don't even want to light a lamp. So in that case, they actually chant this mantra to get rid of their tamogunam, and bring extra shraddha into their lives to be able to do the puja. So this actually helps us gain knowledge, and from, obviously, when we say knowledge is like from darkness to light, right? So this mantra actually helps with that. So what we are saying is, when we bow down to mother's feet, that actually dispels the darkness in the people who bow down.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, is this the same one as in Vishnu Sahasranam we previously discussed, bowing to Lord Vishnu's feet, like nail, same thing?
Exactly the same thing. Yeah. So in the Vishnu Padadike Shanta Stotram, Shankaracharya uses the same example or same meaning there as well. So when Suras bow down to Lord Vishnu as the Suradhyaksha, when they do that, the reflection of their crowns, dispels the ignorance in them, the darkness in their minds.
Thank you.
Tell me the meaning. Dithiti, meaning of Dithiti and Sanchana. What does that word meaning?
I don't have the specific words in this book that I have written down notes on. Let me just. Sanchanna to is excelling. So the words that we've been looking at, Jayishnu, Prapadanvita, and all of those things. So that's what Sanchanna means. Dhiti, to what I know, is somebody who bows down. So, and doing namam, not just doing namaskara like this, but who bows down. But I just want to confirm that that's what it is.
Oh, thank you.
Give me just 1 sec. Okay, my iPad decides to freeze.
I have a question. So we bow down to the mother first or the father first?
Depends on whether you are a mom's girl or a dad's girl.
Okay.
Usually together.
Correct. So Shiva Shakti association, right? Like we are all made up of the both the maternal energy and the paternal energy, to be honest. Like the male energy and female energy are both in us and as two different parts. And we always say like the right side is the energy, the male energy, and the left side is the female energy. And even, whatever our gender may be, that is true for all the people. So even when we do namaskara, we actually say, no, Ardhanarishwara form actually depicts this quite well. And when we say Guru Padukas on our Brahmarandra, we actually say the right Paduka being the father's feet and the mother's feet is on the left. If you think about, I went to this place in Arizona called Sedona. It's pretty close to, I think, from Phoenix, it was like 60 to 70 kilometers. I went for a professional conference and I just took time off as soon as I got some free time. I drove to Sedona. There, it's a place of vortices. A vortex is a magnetic field. And there you actually see, I don't know, just Google pictures of Sedona vortices. There are some trees that are just spiraled in a clockwise direction, and there are some other trees that are spiraled anti-clockwise direction. And they actually talk about the positive or the male magnetic field and the female magnetic field. So Shakti has, or Shakti Shiva, are a combination, and they cannot exist without each other. There is no existence without one another. So, and they don't differentiate between like, oh, you're praying to Shakti, so therefore I'm pissed off with you. So that's how I think me and my husband, we have one child. And when we knew he was a boy, going to be a boy, so my husband was, oh my God, like, boys are more attached to moms. So I think I should have a second child. So if that's the case, then I'll have a girl baby so we can just be a little more balanced in this family. And since childhood, we've been telling my child, like, when he was a very young boy, we are like a triangle. It's not just, no, it's not a line. You don't need to go through mom to dad or go to dad to get to mom. So it's funny, how there is that special attachment. So whatever we are attached to and how we feel comfortable. And recently, like, even in the last chanting class, we were talking about some feel Lalita Sahasranamam is a lot easier to chant, and some others feel Vishnu Sahasranamam is a lot easier to chant. It's just our individual approaches, but they, mother and father, cannot exist without each other. There is no difference.
Thank you. Because when we go to the temple, the main deity we see first, right?
Yeah.
So either like it is Shiva, Vishnu, or Shakti. So the first thought comes is like you start praying there. So that's why I asked you.
Yeah, and we actually start with Ganesha because he is at the entrance, right? He's the child that we have to cross before we actually reach mother, and mother is who actually takes us to the father, is how they say. And I've been very close to my, like, even in my to my dad, I was very close to him. So I never needed my mom to pass on messages to my dad. I actually could just go and sit in his lap and ask what I needed. So that's Nakadi Didhi and Satiji, that's correct. So somebody who bows down to the shining nails, their tamu gunam gets dispelled. Okay. Now we will look at the next one, and this is a single namam as well. Padadvaya Prabhajala Parakruta Saroruha. So here we are talking about the 2 feet of the mother, Padadvayam. Actually, Parakruta Sarohar. Sorry, here we are talking about the soles of the mother's feet. The Padadvaya Prabhajala Parakruta Saroruha. So the soles of her feet, by their beauty, shame the lotus. So they're softer, and you will also notice that a lot of these aspects are getting compared to the hues of pink and red and some yellow mixed in it. And we've seen multiple namas that actually talk about. So today I wanted to talk a little bit more about why there is so much of red, descriptions of red, and why when we meditate, we can incorporate that into our meditation. I want to just go through that in addition to what's been given in Saubhagya Bhaskaram. So we'll talk about that. And it actually goes a little bit into Sri Vidya. So Saroruha, or saras is samsara, like, there is the simple straightforward meaning is the souls are the beauty of the souls, or the mrudatvam or the mardavam of the souls surpasses or shames the lotus. That's the straightforward meaning, right? So now looking at what is deeper meaning is, saras is the samsara, and we have seen this even in the Gita Dhyana slokas, how the lake and the crocodiles and everything. So there is a samsara. So if saras was the samsara, ruha is the ignorance, parakrita is someone who can dispel the ignorance. Again, coming back to connected to the previous nama that we were looking at. So mother and her feet are going to help us dispel the ignorance. By the way, actually, there is a nice Puranic description that I actually found that I wanted to read, and this is, very nice. So I'll just read it from this book, and this is also in the Saubhagya Bhaskaram. So this is, given right after the Nakadi Diti Sanchanna. In the Matsya and the Padma Puranas, there is a speech of Narada after interpreting the bodily marks, or Samudrika Shastram, right? So the Samudrika Shastra. So Narada was doing Samudrika Shastram on Mother Parvati to her mother Mena. A husband is not yet born for her, O lady. She will be devoid of good bodily marks because she is an unconditioned one, and she will always have her hand raised. And because her hand will be raised because she is a great giver herself, hers must necessarily be above that of one who receives. So actually, even I don't know if there is a sentiment in other states too. In my tradition, we don't give money with our hands to our mother, father, or husband. We actually hold money like this, and they will take it from the top. So we usually, like, anybody elder, we don't give money from the top. So her hand is always raised, and her feet will err by their own shadow. What more should be said? Himavan, hearing about these bad marks, addressed him with sorrow when Narada replied, "When you have an occasion for great joy, why should you manifest sorrow, O great mountain? You are bewildered because you did not understand my speech." After explaining the meaning of "no husband is born," etc., Shiva does not belong to the group of created beings. So when he said no husband is born, he is talking about the Aja, the one that is never born and always existent. So Shiva does not belong to the group of created beings. He says, "I will explain what I meant by saying her feet will err by their own shadow, O best of mountains. Her feet are like lotuses shining with bright nails. When the Devas and Asuras prostrate before her, the various colors of their jeweled crowns reflected will drive away the rays of her nails, which entering their hearts dispel their tamas quality." So which is the same thing that we were talking about, the Keshadi the Padadi Keshanta Stotram by Shankaracharya, right? It's those jewels and the colors. There is an association of these colors and how the ignorance get dispelled. So if you do deeper meditation and learn meditation techniques on various chakras in the body, you tend to see, or there's visions of different colors that appear, and those colors actually like are shiny and just like these different jewels. So there is the Padmaraga, there is a color, there is the Vaidurya color, the Vajra color, and all of those things. So this is the deeper meaning actually that we take it as. It's the colors that reflect from, and the reason why they actually talk about the kiritam of the devas and those who are prostrating, and the jewels of the kiritas reflecting from the reflection of the nails or the shine of the nails, and that's how the tamas gets ignored.
Guruji, basically it's like the Vibji or color which comes, right? Guruji, they say like in yoga when you're focusing, yoga teacher always says like to focus, and she says like you based on the Vibji or you get the color.
So there are two different colors, to be honest, in the chakras. So the Vibgyor colors that we talk about are of the container, the adhara of the chakra. So think about it as like the chakras are nothing but nadi channels, right? Like the congregation of nadis in a particular place. And we call them like the padmas. And the adhara is the point where all of these are congregating. And the chakra is the energy that circulates around it. So there are two different colors. The Adhara has a different color, which is the Vibgyor colors, and Saubhagya Bhaskaram, so Saubhagya Upanishad defines what the colors of the chakras are, and they are a little different. And I think I'm trying to remember this gentleman who actually does a lot of great videos, and recently somebody shared that in our forums too. He was talking about Aksharamala. He actually did on the chakras, and he talks about what the real colors of those chakras are. So when we see, depending on how deeper you're going into the meditation, you either see the colors of the adharas or the colors of the chakras itself.
Thank you, Guruji.
Sriji, you said you're going to explain the importance of the red, yellow, pink, and
Yeah,
white?
yeah. So I will be doing that when we get to the Nama Sarva Aruna. And why is Mother Sarva Aruna? Why is she all red? So that's where we will go into that meaning. So we have, I think, 3 more namas before we go into that. Okay. So the next one is Shinjana Mani Manjira Mandita Shri Padambuja. Mother who manifested in the Chidagni Kunda, and just going back to how the whole devas were doing the homas, and then the Lalitopakhyanam, we have talked about that, where at some point after providing so many oblations, they also started chopping off some of their body organs, and they were just dropping into the homa. At some point all the devas were planning to jump into the homa. That's when mother has arisen from or manifested from the homa kundam or Chidagni Kundam, and we have related that to the Big Bang and the theory of how the universe manifested, and how energy and matter have manifested themselves from the Chit Agni. We called it the Agni of consciousness. So now, and we have described, since that mother has manifested herself in the homa, we have described what mother looks like, and we have seen various aspects of her physical form, the Saguna Rupam, as well as we've been looking at her mantra forms and her various aspects of the knowledge that is provided in Sri Vidya. And now, after describing till the feet, now mother is taking steps towards Kameshwara. So father is just think about it this way, and he was so awestruck by her beauty. She then just took a little step forward, and her anklets tinkled, causing a beautiful nadam. So Shinjana Mani Manjira Mandita Shri Padambuja. So she's taking steps forward towards Kameshwara, and she was being adored by all the devas that were surrounding that were in that place. And there is a in the I'm trying to recollect it's not Gauri Kalyanam or Parvati Kalyanam. Anyway, so just associated with this, because mother is so beautiful, and everybody is just awestruck by her beauty. And as she's walking, Kameshwara says, "You know what? I just need to go get ready because I'm just currently not ready enough to get married to her yet. So I need a few moments to get ready." Is how one of the Pravachanakartas actually explains it to us. So it's a beautiful moment that she's just taking a step forward, and we hear that Nadam. And at some point, we will come back to this Nama to talk a little bit more about understanding what that Nadam is. And this actually relates to some of the namas that we will see in a little in the future, where we are talking about the Nada Brahman, how sound manifests itself and where it starts from, and how it manifests from where it originates in us, and where the sound itself actually originated in creation. So this nama, we will just bring it back as a connection when we get to that point. Okay. So the next one is Marali Mandagamana, and we'll that's the namam. So the whole sentence, the second line of the 20th sloka has two namas in it. Marali Mandagamana. The second nama is Mahalavanya Sevadihi. So Mandagamanam, the straightforward meaning is her gait is like that of a swan. So obviously, there's such a beautiful mother. Now she's taking a step, and everybody is awed by it, and she's taking it very nicely and slowly. She's walking towards Kameshwara. So this is actually related to the breathing patterns in us. And when we breathe, just slowing it down controls our mind significantly. And we will also see some of this in the 6th chapter of Gita. They're all connected, right? Everything ultimately is all the scriptures are trying to teach us how to dispel our ignorance and just move forward, spiritually progress to reach the Parabrahman. So the breathing patterns, the faster you're breathing, the more aggression there is, and there is a rajasic aspect that is building in us. So by trying to slow it down a little bit on a regular basis doesn't mean you have to stop breathing. Just take deeper breaths and slower breaths. Then this gait of the mother is related to that, because the prana vayus are all all these nadis and channels and vayus are all pretty closely connected. So slow, a little conscious, slower breathing helps us progress in spiritual path. And I think I may be able to speak to just one more thing here. So we have this Mahavakya, Hamsaha, Soham, are Mahavakyas in Vedas. And we've also seen that Hamsa Soham Soham Hamsa Shivaha in the Prana Pratishtha mantras, if you're doing that. And if you see the notes that I have provided for the Prana Pratishtha process. So Ham and Saha are the two, the breathing, the inhaling and exhaling are these two letters. So just by meditating with Ham is inhale and Saha is exhale, just by doing Ham Saha, or you can still do it Satiji, you do Hamsa meditation. Just for some reason, I do it, but I've never taught theory about this. Can you remind me if I'm right with Hum being inhaling and Saha being exhaling?
I think Saha is inhaling and Hum is exhaling. So
Yes.
So Hum.
Yes. Yeah. So Saha is inhale and Hum is exhale. You could use either Soham or Hum Saha. And then just do the breathing, and just when you do the breathing, just keep it very slow when you're chanting it in words. You don't have to chant it outside, but just recite in your mind and take deep breaths, and that will help. That Marali Mandagamana will help us activate some of these nadi channels that we have been just pushing it more than what is necessary. We breathe at some 70, 80 second, pulse is that high usually. Just trying to grab it, take control of it. First controls the vrittis in our minds, and opens up and activates all the channels and nadis in our bodies. So the next nama, Maha Lavanya Shevadhihi. So actually the literal translation would be treasure house of beauty, charm, or elegance, or grace. So Mahalavanyam. So You can just imagine what that really means. But the second deeper meaning is she's the Satchidananda Rupini. And the Mahat Shabda actually is teaching us Brahma Vidya. So somebody who can teach us in a graceful way, the Brahma Vidya, that Rupini is the mother. Mahalavanya Chevadihi is the deeper meaning. So I don't want to go into the next Nama Sarva Aruna because I have quite a few things that I would like to share about, connecting it to Matrikas, the Bijaksharas, why those colors, why is mother red in color, why is that description, etc. So I need at least like 10 minutes to do that. So why don't we stop here and probably do an extra sloka. If there are no questions, then we may be able to just chant a sloka and then conclude it, and then we'll come to Sarvaruna from next week onwards. Okay. Any thoughts, questions? Anybody wants to share anything with the group and me? I'm always looking for more information, learning. Or shall we?
I wanted to share, like, as we are going through this, I was just sitting and thinking, already, like, looking at mother, she's like mesmerizing. And all this, I don't know what thought is going to come when you think about her, right? There are so many meanings. Like, which are we going to think? Like, even when you were talking about Vishnu Sahasranamam, I was just thinking there are so many meanings to all this. Like, first thing, looking at him, like, you're mesmerized, you're speechless.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I going to think? Like, is all this going to come into me, or like I'm going to just be speechless?
Yeah, exactly. I know. Sometimes I think, like, if there was Saguna Rupa manifestation, I'd probably just have like no words. I'll just probably just, just tears rolling down. Yeah, which is what generally happens when I go to a temple and I see the Rupam and I just start, tears just shut down from my eyes. And my son actually gets so embarrassed. He says, "Mom, people will think you have so many difficulties in your life. Can you please not do that? You're one of the happiest people ever." So, and especially when I hear mantras, and when we do any kalyanam or any puja, and they're chanting the Vedic mantras, and as I understand the meanings of what those means, I just have such immense, profound feeling just sitting there and being in his in his temple. Agreed.
Very true, Guruji, because like earlier, like this was just like chant, you listen and you'll be moved. But as you're knowing the meaning, it changes the whole thing. Like as I said, like when I went yesterday, I had gone to the temple, like so many thoughts were running in my mind. Like, what do I look? What do I see? Like I was like thinking in my mind and being speechless, like whether should I look at mother or like should I look at father? Like I was confused there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Sriji, if you have time, can you explain or elaborate on, you're talking about different chakras and something connects all of them?
Yeah, so that will require a lot more time, Anitaji, and we will be seeing definitely those, but much later in Lalita Sahasranamam. When we talk about Granthis, which would be in the 38, 39th sloka in Lalita Sahasranamam, we'll definitely talk about chakras, and there is also and I'm planning to do a complete a workshop on Sri Chakra. Hopefully, Mother will allow me to do that. And the bijaksharas that go with it. So we will be looking at various aspects of Lalita Sahasranamam, not just literal translation, because literal translation is beautiful, beautiful just to imagine Mother in her amazing glory. But we will also try to understand the deeper meanings for sure.
What is the literal meaning you said of Marali Mandagamana? Guruji, I think I missed it.
She is taking a slow step towards Kameshwara. Her gait is like that of a swan. Mandagamanam is slowly walking, and Marali is the female swan.
Okay. Marali is the swan.
The female swan, yeah.
I have a question, Guruji. I have never chanted Lalita Sahasranamam, and we are teaching us how to chant as well as telling the meanings. And when I chant only up to those verses where you have explained the meanings. So it gives me a pleasure, and not only that, I feel really good also when I chant that. But is it okay that when you stop wherever you have taught us, like up to the 20th sloka now, is this okay when I chant and I stop in between, or is it that fully I have to go through?
It's not necessary. There is no hard and fast rule in that sense. The full chant actually is told that there is something called as, I'm getting some echo. There are benefits in chanting the full Lalita Sahasranamam. But knowing the meaning and understanding it in a deeper way and chanting a few slokas is absolutely acceptable. There is no hard and fast rule that you have to chant all the 182 and a half slokas.
Okay, thank you.
And you'll benefit from, like, even chanting a single sloka from either, like, any stotram, right? They have been done very profoundly, like with a lot of thought in it. And whether it is Shiva Sahasranamam or Lalita Trishati or anything, just chant it with like a lot more consciously and just know that you're just not doing it as like a recitation. I sometimes feel bad when priests are chewing pan in the temple and then just chanting and simultaneously. There's a bit of Shraddha missing there. Anything you do, just do it with a bit of Shraddha, and that actually gives you lots of benefits.
Okay, thank you.
I'm so happy today that like you are telling about the Sri Chakram thing. I'm so mesmerized by the chakram behind you, and I was like, that's one of the things I was so happy when you said that you're going to have a workshop kind. Thank you.
I know. Actually, we've been working from home since mid-March, right? So I sit, this is my work table as well. So I just sit, this is my Bhagavan's, this is master bedroom that where Bhagavan lives. So this is where I sit most of the days, and I just work from here. And I was chatting with my CEO like the other day, and all the different team members and everybody else that I work with. And they get mesmerized with this. They ask like, okay, Sri, just before we start the meeting, what is that behind you? So I actually feel like, there is a magical power in that. And she's quite attractive in whatever form.
Yeah, truly, Sriji. First time when I saw you in the video, I was completely taken aback by the Sri Chakram
Yeah.
in the back. Like, what's happening? It was very beautiful, Sriji.
Yeah, I think people can see through me into the full chakra. Actually, that's how I feel. Like I'm just here like a transparent something that don't even exist. Yeah.
Oh, no. Thank
No,
you.
it's like center of attraction. You cannot miss concentration when you explain. That's how I feel like you are actually teaching sitting in front of the chakra and which you require concentration. Please concentrate. That's
Agreed. Okay.
Earlier, I never knew much about like the Sri Chakram Guruji, but like as you have explained, the more and more you want to know about it, it's like enticing. How to say, like you want to know more and more.
Absolutely. She has that attraction of like the Vashikarana power.
Very true, Guruji. Very true.
Really missed the two classes, 2 weeks we didn't have. I really missed the classes.
I know, it was unfortunate I couldn't
Yeah,
hold
I
those two
know.
classes. Yeah.
No,
And I missed them too. Yeah. Actually felt like, I've done a lot of chanting during those 2 weeks, but I actually felt a bit energy drained, like generally don't feel it. But despite the amount of chanting and the puja, not the pujas, but whatever we were chanting as a family, somehow it just did not help me, elevate my energy. I was drained a little bit, and then I had to pull myself back out of it.
Feeling better now, Sriji?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's important. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we'll conclude it here with a Shanti Mantra. ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वं श्री परदेवतार्पणमस्तु. Thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
11 o'clock is that the link that you sent of that Swami Mama's
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock today, right?
Yeah. Second.
You know, he also
Dhanyavadaha.
has on Sundays, so I'll as soon as I get the schedule, I'll post that as well in the forum.
Dhanyavadaha,
Thank you.
Sriji.
Dhanyavadaha.
Dhanyawada.
Thank you, Guruji. See you in the evening.
See you in the evening.
Thank you, Sriji.
Dhanyavada Bhagini.
Roshvet.
See you in the evening, Guruji.
Ram.